Um, somebody have the name on just iPhone showing. Who is that person that have iPhone showing? Can you say a name so I
This
can
Naja McMillian.
have who again?
Naja McMillian.
Oh, Nigeria. Okay, okay. Let me check your name. Good, good, good. All right. So let us continue. Yeah. All right. I have some people that have not coming yet. All right. Let's continue. Now we can now look at management, and then we can check or explore the difference between management and leadership. When we talk of management, we are referring to the process of achieving the organizational objective through people and other resources. So, as a manager, your job as a manager is, or the job of a manager is simply to achieve the company's goal by combining what I call 4 M's of management. Those 4 M's management include money, material or resources, machine, and manpower. Yeah, those are the 4 M's of management. So by the manager's job is to combine these 4 M's to achieve the company's goals. So this applies to whether it is a for-profit organization or for non-profit organization. It doesn't matter. It's still the same thing. Management in all cases involve working with people and using the resources that are available to achieve the organizational objective. So a natural question that will come to our mind at this point then becomes what are the difference between management and leadership? Well, first of all, we have to understand that leadership is about getting people to understand and believe in your vision and to work with you to achieve that vision. Now, on the management, on the other hand, is more about administrations. It's more about making sure that the day-to-day operations are happening in the company as they should. So, in that light, when viewed in that light, it means that the main difference here between management and leadership is that leaders are people can make people to follow them, while management or managers can have people to work for them. Now, in any case, the line of demarcation between management and leadership, they are blurred because managers can also be leaders. So, but usually, what we call leaders, in general, are people that they can make the more of having a vision. Managers often focus more on day-to-day operations that will make the company, work or thrive. But leaders are thinking about where will I be? Where will the company be 5 or 10 years from now? Is there any new product we need to introduce that kind of that will cause the profit to increase? That is what a leader is. Then they can now be able, if you can able to make employees to have that similar vision or to become their activities become aligned with that vision. That's what leadership is. But managers or management involve just if it is how many people need our supply today? How many people need, when is the payroll already due? How many customers do we have or need to be attended to? Things like that. I talk about managers. So leadership is about motivating people to comprehend and believe in the vision, and yet for the company, and so to believe in the vision that you set for the company and to work with you to achieve those goals. Right? Management is about administering work and ensuring that the day-to-day activities are getting done as they should. So but the bottom line is that you cannot separate leadership from management completely. They are complementary. They work together. But perhaps this short video might help us in understanding the difference between leadership and management better. So for that, I'm going to take you to this section and get in the video.
So I live in New York.
Can you hear the sound? Hello, scholars, can you hear the sound?
Right near a fjord.
Yeah.
Near a fjord. Fjord is a tidal estuary, salt water going one way and the other brackish. Day by day, year by year, millennia by millennia, it carves a hole through rock. And that's how we got taught to run our organizations. Do it, and then do it again, and then do it again. And that hard work repeated over time, consistently, can build you a really big fjord. But I came today to talk about bike racing in Italy. Now here's a video, actual footage of a guy losing a bike race. And when he discovers that doing the same thing over and over again isn't really the best method. And that perhaps if he tried to use aerodynamics a little differently, to play by a different set of rules, he could figure out how on the downhill he could get ahead of everybody else. And this idea that innovation might pay off now and then leads us to a whole bunch of thinking about management and what we ought to do next. Thinking that's confusing. So I came to talk about the confusion. I came to talk about the fact that we got a whole bunch of it wrong, and that it's possible, and there's an imperative, that we think about it differently. So I've only given this talk once before, so it's a little disjointed, but I hope it's going to plant some seeds under your skin and make you think about it. The first big idea is this: leadership and management are different things. Leadership is not management, and vice versa. Management dates back to Henry Ford, to scientific management, to Frederick Taylor, to the idea that if we could build a job where an obedient person can do it and create value, we could pay people a lot. Henry Ford was able to go to the workers of Detroit and give them a 10x raise in one day, because he said, if you come on the assembly line and do what I tell you to, I'll pay you a lot of money. And that spread. It spread to the idea that we could use it to make truffles and chocolates, because as long as we get the system working efficiently, we're fine, right? And it went from there to another food business. This is one of my favorites. This is somewhere in India. They didn't have enough room to put the place where the guy rolls next to the place where the guy cooks. And so this is brilliant management engineering, because one person took an innovation and then figured out how to make the system more efficient. You may not notice because there's no sound, but when he's about to throw it, he hits the rolling pin so the guy knows to get ready. Anyway, what we discovered then is that big factories are more efficient than little ones. Big organizations where people are doing what they're told work. The River Rouge plant that Ford built was so big it took all day to get from one side to the other. That this idea that there's a top-down method not only works for cars, it works for almost everything. So this is an old slide, 8 years ago. How far every person in the United States lives from a McDonald's. Now you can imagine that now it's even more yellow and less dark, because McDonald's figured out that management works. that a McDonald's manager is not supposed to innovate, not supposed to start selling spaghetti during the slow times to see what happens. That the job of people at McDonald's is to crank it out. That cranking it out and doing what we're told again and again, that works until it doesn't. And when the world changes, we're in trouble. When the world changes, management always fails because we don't understand how to go forward. And that's fine, you say, I don't live on Easter Island. It's fine, I don't have a book depository. Well, it's not fine if, say, for example, you used to work in newspaper publishing because you can see what happened. It's not fine if you used to be a travel agent because you can see what happened. It's not fine if you're one of the 4 million people who drive a truck in the United States for a living because self-driving cars. And it's not fine if you live on the planet Earth and the weather changes. Because the thing is, the world is changing whether you want it to or not. And it's changing faster than ever before. So in the face of all of that change, we're not going to be able to manage our way out of it. We're going to have to lead, and leadership is not the same as management. Okay, so the next idea is that responsibility and authority are different things. That managers need authority. They tell people what to do. But leaders need to take responsibility. So I'll give you a little example. If you do a Google search for the great Arturo Toscanini, you have to type in the great Arturo Toscanini, you get all these pictures of the maestro. He was the most famous and important music conductor of the 40s, 50s in the United States. He worked with Disney. He was the conductor of the NBC Orchestra. So when he recorded Beethoven's Fifth, he could record it like this. It's a dirge, it's slow, it's a chance for the great man to show everyone that he knows exactly what he's doing. And it became the standard. That's the way it's supposed to sound. Well, my friend Ben Zander, who is not the self-appointed great Ben Zander, who has no fancy job, who has no fancy orchestra, he recorded a version of Beethoven's Fifth recently, and it sounded like this. And people say that's wrong. It's too fast. How dare you? Well, Ben can point out that's the way Beethoven wrote it, but the thing is, the how dare you part is really interesting because he has no authority. The key is he's taking responsibility. He's saying, it's on me. I did the math, I did the research. If you don't like it, you don't have to follow, but it's on me.
All right, I think you get the point. We have the time. As you already know, I have this link to this video in the PowerPoint that I uploaded, so you can watch it to the end. That will give you a real idea of the difference between leadership and management. Okay, let me see. Give you the idea of the difference between the two. Now we can proceed to the next item, which is leadership threats. There are some threats that can be that are common to good leaders. Or let me put it this way: there are some misconception that that individuals are naturally gifted to be leaders. Well, there might be some people who have natural ability to be leaders, but most of the leadership threats, I would say all of them can actually be a skill that one can acquire through time and practice. So it's not always the case that a leader is born, that somebody become a leader by birth. Like I say, people have different talents. There are those that have natural ability to lead, yes. But also for most people, you have to be a good leader, you have to actually learn small skills, and through practice and time, you can be quite very effective with using those skills. Now, some of those skills will have effective communicators. So leaders are some of the traits that are very common to good leaders they are effective communicators. accountable and responsible. Excuse me, let me close that. Close this. All right. Say they're accountable and responsible, and they are long-term thinkers, self-motivated, confident, people-oriented, and emotionally stable. Leaders are emotional. Good leaders are emotionally stable. And let's look at some of these things one by one. First one is effective communication. To be a good leader, you have to be an excellent communicator. You have to be able to clearly and concisely explain the problems your company is having and what you perceive to be the solution to those problems. So good leaders know how to talk well, and they also know when to listen to their employees. They are good listeners. One of the important quality of a good leader is their ability to listen, to others, to the suggestion that others make. So we have excellent good leaders that have been able to achieve great feat by being good communicators. Now, I'll give you an example. This one is not in business. This one is in a country. Now, I'm sure that you guys have been listening to the news, and you can see the war that is going on in Russia. Now, Russia and Ukraine. Russia is a world power, or rather, it is considered to be a world power until now. And the Ukraine is, compared to Russia, is just like comparing Goliath. I mean, David to Goliath. Compared to Russia, they have nothing. Really, they don't have the in terms of weapons, number of soldiers, resources that and the need for war. They don't have it. The only thing they have is they have a good leader in their president, which is Zelensky. He was able to communicate his message, pass his message across. Was able to rally the whole world to support him. And he was able to do that through his ability to communicate very well. Not only through oral communication, but from what he does. He was offered he was offered to be America wanted to help him to escape from the country, but he said no. He doesn't need a right, but what he needs is weapons. And because he didn't leave the country, his army was so motivated because their leader is there with them, communicating with them every day. Because the president did not escape from this country. All the Ukrainian congressmen and women, they did not go anywhere. They stayed. That motivated the whole country. Now, Russia, as a world power, was supposed to, they attacked Ukraine on the air, land, and sea with all their missiles and everything. And Ukraine, the whole world thought that Ukraine would fall within 7 days or 4 days. Because they didn't have really nothing except their morale. Because they have a president that was able to motivate them. What happened? It didn't fail in 7 days. They didn't fail 1 month. So when the whole world now see that these people really know what they are doing, the whole world started helping them. Before that, nobody wanted to help them because they thought that Russia would crush Ukraine in a matter of days. But the way he communicated the message that they want their freedom, self-determination, and the other things that they want to be free from Russia. Everyone in the country, including the old, wanted to participate. For days, Russia was continuing shelling their capital, Kyiv. Yet, they could not take Kyiv. Then on now, the whole world started helping them. Was able to communicate very well. And now it is Ukraine that is actually kicking Russia out of the territory, some of the territory that they have seized by force. something that was almost unimaginable before. So that will tell you how powerful this quality of being an effective communicator is. Can make a leader become very, very effective in their work. How about the second threat is accountable and responsible. Leaders hold themselves accountable. And when things happen, whether it is for good or bad, especially when a company is having a bad time, they take responsibility for any mistake. If you look at, I forgot the name of the company. I think it was Johnson & Johnson. That was a long time ago. There was a time that for some reason, people that take their Tylenol develop some complications, you know. So Tylenol, the leader of the CEO, they took responsibility for that, even though they didn't cause it. Something, I think somebody that wanted to make the company look bad, sabotage some of their product, the Tylenol. So, but Johnson & Johnson came up and own up with the mistake, took responsibility for that mistake, and recalled all the Tylenol produced during that particular time to all the stores. Now, today, Johnson & Johnson, because of the fact that they take that responsibility and took that action to show the public that whatever happens, they are willing to make good of it, make it good. You know, they are Tylenol is one of the most popular pain medication that we take these days. How about some companies that make produce cars and trucks? Sometimes if they find out that there's one of the components in those trucks have problems that might cause fire hazard or might cause something else, normally they recall those trucks or those cars, fix it, and put it back to the market. So that creates confidence in their customers that this company is, doing a good job. How about a company like Volkswagen? I think it was about 5 years ago. Volkswagen, their diesel, some of the cars that Volkswagen make that use diesel, they put a software in some of those cars so that software make those cars to pass emission tests, even though they shouldn't have passed it based on the amount of toxic product that they emit. So, but the software they put in their emission component was able to, it can recognize when the car is being tested by the emission control agencies, and then it will change the quantity of toxic product that is being emitted, make it to be lower so that they can pass those tests. It was eventually discovered, and of course they were fined. Now, Volkswagen did so many damage control, public relations campaign that even I think they apologized as well. They own up to the CEO, own up the mistake, and today Volkswagen is one of the most popular cars. I mean, it's selling very well in the United States today. So leaders hold themselves accountable and responsible for any mistake, and they support and encourage individuality while abiding by the organizational structure, rules, and policies that need to be followed. Now, they are also long-term thinkers. So, like I mentioned at the beginning, if you are a CEO of a company and you're not thinking 10 years ahead of your competitor, then you don't have a business. It's a matter of time. Your competitors will find out the key to your success, and they will develop products similar to what you are doing and sell it at a cheap price and to take the market from you. So you are always thinking ahead as a leader. Where will this company be 5 years from today? What new product or new service do I have to put into the market that will continue to improve our bottom line? As you can see in that video that I played a few minutes ago. Those are in the bicycle race. The guy that was behind, he was actually losing the race. Then he figured out a way to be moving faster than the rest of the people who are winning. And they started winning, you know? So doing things the same way over and over, like the video mentioned, when the society changes, then the management fail. For example, when I came to the United States, the newspaper company was a big business. The magazine is a big business. Then that time, internet have came out. People were using internet, but many of those newspapers and magazines did not adopt or don't take advantage of the internet. So many of them actually, by the time they realize what is happening, many productions, some magazines, there are so many online publications that are taking the market from them. So many of them closed down. Today, it's almost like that the newspapers almost doesn't exist anymore. They exist, but you cannot compare it to what they used to be 20 years ago. Yeah. So you have to be visionary. You have to think ahead. You have to know how to take advantage of what you have or what you may not, what your competitor have not seen. I'll give you another example. When Facebook was popular, but then Instagram came out, WhatsApp came out. The Facebook CEO noted that if he doesn't buy up these two platforms, they're going to lose markets to those platforms. So what did they do? They bought up Instagram and they bought WhatsApp. So Facebook now own WhatsApp and Instagram. So they're making money from all around, from the Facebook platform, from WhatsApp, and from Instagram. So you have to keep thinking ahead of time. Yeah. As a leader. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Hello? Hello, scholars, can you hear me?
Yes, no questions.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Self-motivated. So leaders are self-motivated and are able to keep going and attain goals despite setbacks. I was reading an article the other day about there was this I forgot his name, Tyler Perry, how he started. The first play he made, he was working and saved $12,000 to produce the first play. It was a complete loss, but that did not stop him. He continued. It was the second time that he made an attempt after many years later. Now he is worth billions of dollars. His plays and his movies are popular, you know, and are selling many copies, thousands of copies every year. And he's a billionaire. But it had even that he has given up. Maybe he'll be working in he might be a regular employee of a company making a few $1,000s a year. But today, because he didn't give up, he's one of the richest film producers in America today. Another quality is confidence. If you want to be a leader, then you must have that in you. All good leaders share the leadership trait of confidence. So that means that they can make tough decisions and lead with authority. So being confident, again, like I said, is very important. Because if a leader is confident, that means he or she can inspire others, establish open communication, and encourage our network. Now, the leader must also be people-oriented. That means that leader should be, as a leader, you have to have the ability to be a team player. So as a leader, you have to possess that ability to foster team culture, to involve others in decision making, and to show concern for each team member. So this people oriented, because as a leader you work with people. You have to people that you have to inspire them. You have to make them, as much you manage people. You are the key to your success as a leader. So you must be people oriented, and by doing that, you'll be able to energize and motivate others. Now, this also involves making people feel important and vital to the team's success. So by doing that, you can secure their best efforts, effort that will lead to the success of the company. Yeah. Then, of course, there's another emotional stability. Is another quality of a good leader. So yeah, that which means a simple way of explaining this is that as a leader, you should have the ability to, well, good leaders have the ability to exercise good control and regulation over their behavior, and they are also able to tolerate frustration and stress. So when the environment changes, you have to be able to adapt to that change without having an intense emotional reaction. Yeah. So so what are the threats of a bad leader? Then, based on what I have explained a few minutes ago, you can see that some of the threats listed here, when a leader have any of them, or have a behavior that is consistent with these threats here, then we consider that leader to be a bad leader. What are those threats? Too bossy. Now, being too bossy is not a good way to lead. I understand that in some situation, of course, the leader have to be more assertive. But if it is the order of the day, it can cause a lot of it can demoralize the subordinates or your employees. So a bad leader is also fearful of change, and that can cost the company a lot. I'm gonna give you an example with a story. I'm sure that all of you know about the computer company that we call the IBM. Now, IBM in those days used to be the most popular computer company in the world. They make both hardware and software of the computer. Now, IBM was one of the first companies that developed the personal computers. But they are making so much money from mainframe computer. So so they are afraid that if they develop the personal computer, it will cannibalize the mainframe. That means the personal computer will start selling, and the money they are making from the mainframe they will lose it. So because of that, the PC project they postponed it as a future project and say, let us continue to sell the mainframe computer and make money from there while waiting for the future. While moving the PC project to the future. That decision alone caused IBM to lose the market, because it opened the door for Apple computers, HP computers, Compaq, and other computer companies. All of them started making personal computers, and IBM lost the market. Till today, IBM have never recovered from that decision. You have to be willing to change as a leader. Another one is the bad leader are unwilling or unable to communicate effectively. You must be a good communicator to be a good leader. I have given you an example with that of Ukraine president. Now, even a bad leader, even a bad, I mean, when I say communication, it's not always in the positive side. It can be in the negative side. So long as you are able to pass a message across the way it will motivate people. If you look at I'll give you more example with the, let's say the Trump presidency. When Donald Trump made people to know that he want to contest for presidency, U.S. presidency, many people were thinking like, is he joking? You know, because nobody see Trump as a politician. Now, but when he came in and then started drawing crowds, he can communicate, whatever the way he said, he was able to pass message across to the extent that he started having a lot of followers. So it was a big surprise to everybody when Trump won the election because of the way he was communicating at that time. I mean, it might be a wrong, the communication might not be something positive, might be something positive or negative, but the fact that we are able to make people listen and do your bidding, you see? So that made him, that's why he was able to attract or draw crowd to himself at that time. I don't know about now, maybe he's no longer as popular as he used to be, but I'm just trying to tell that it can happen. How about the Second World War, Hitler, the way he was able to ginger up the Germans? One country was fighting the whole world, and yet keep the whole world at alert for 4 years. So, because Hitler had a good way of communicating, he know how to communicate, he will know how to reach people's mind. So that ability to communicate very well is very important. Bad leaders are dismissive of ideas other than their own. They want only their own ideas. They dismiss other ideas. They don't listen. They don't have the quality of being a good listener. They lack empathy. They are inconsistent, and they are prone to blame others. Instead of taking the responsibility, they blame others for their mistakes or for the mistakes of the company that they are running. So I will recommend that please, when you read up the PowerPoint, it is actually self-explanatory. And remember to look at Canvas and register for buy the textbook and register in the Connect so that you can be able to do the exams and homework. Look at the assignments that are due this week. Try your best to complete them. I'm going to extend homework 1 to next week so that you have more time to buy the book and do the assignment. So we'll end class tonight, and I will see you next week. Okay? Hello?
Okay. Good night.
All right, good night.
Good night. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.